So we were recording another video, but then we stumbled upon an idea, and a good one. Quote of the day. We're not stealing this from anybody. So, Mr. Adyar, what's your quote of the day?
My quote of the day as a biology teacher would be, if you line up every elephant on Earth
The
in
video's a
straight
little
line
quiet.
between Earth and the moon, they would all die.
Wow, they really would all
I
die.
love this sound
Elephants
effect.
said breathe air, right?
The
Yes, they do.
the home run bat sound effect
And
from
there's no
Smash
air
Bros.
like space.
There's no air in space.
Crazy.
My quote of the day is, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Yo, that hits hard. That hits hard.
The fridge is always covering the snacks.
What does that mean?
It means that some people that are fake to you might be covering the real people that are in front of you.
What?
Okay, okay.
When you have a dream, you've got to grab it and
Re-
never let go.
What does that mean?
Reading it from
You
her
know,
phone,
grab your dream.
I
kind
don't
of like
know.
cheating, to
grab
be
your
honest with you.
To follow your dreams.
Yes.
You gotta follow your
Follow your dreams? Okay, okay, okay.
They always say YOLO.
Yeah.
Really, you don't. You live every day.
I like how
You
this
really
one
got
is
it.
not an interview with Joel. It's
Yeah.
just Josh speaking
Live-
straight to the
live your-
camera.
Live your life as much as you can, every day. You
There's
live every
actually a-
day. You only die once, man.
There's actually a good One Republic song
Oh, Nick,
that
what's
says,
what's your quote of
"If
the
you,
day?
if we only die once,
What's your
I
quote
want
of
to
the
die
day?
with
Something
you."
inspirational. You want to say something that's meaning.
Okay.
Good one.
Do your best and God will do the rest.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that.
Don't save the candles, and it means like so don't like continue waiting and dreaming on something, like make it happen. So like the story behind it is a married couple had candles from their wedding and they never used it, and eventually they died. And they never ended up using them, which they always wanted to save it for a special occasion. So it's like, don't keep on waiting, like just do it.
Yo, that's actually
Words
fire,
of
though.
wisdom.
That just like fire and you light the candle. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm in that instance.
Get a better barber.
Oh. Wow.
To be respectful.
That's
Be respectful.
Yes, to
Such
every
a-
single person.
No matter if they're
Be
rich or
respectful.
poor, be respectful, right?
Be respectful to everybody, especially all of your teachers and administrators. Yes.
a very
Respectful,
on
that's
brand Mrs. Baker moment right here. Be respectful. Good stuff.
Hello everyone, my name is Connor and today I'm going to be doing a session sim game video today, gameplay. And
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna-
We're gonna do an
show you
intro.
guys,
You should,
what this game is about. So this is a
you know, you
skateboarding
should
game
script it out.
where
I think
you
have
could
a cleaner
do
intro.
street skating,
Kind of
tricks and
stumbled over
stuff.
yourself.
And I'm at the skate shop right now, and from doing challenges, I have earned $2,965 in game. So let's go to the skate shop and let's see what we can get. Cause there's a lot of money. So first things first, we're gonna start with the skate deck, and we're gonna get the DZK
Good that you put
brand.
chapters here.
This is my favorite deck so far, so we're gonna get this one. We are gonna get this abstract grip tape because it looks pretty cool. Now we're gonna
I think
get
there
the
should be
blue deck
background
wheels,
music.
and we're gonna get the small riser pad so our
I
deck
think
can still look clean.
there's background music later in the video, to my understanding, but for some reason at this part there's nothing.
And lastly, we're gonna get the prime cut wheels. And this is a Casper flip.
Okay.
And here we're gonna do a dark slide. There we go, and that was so clean. But I don't want that setting on for every trick I do, so what I'm gonna do now is a 50-50. And then
Change the
out.
setup, I guess. Different mic quality. That's okay.
Okay, I'm turning this off. That could have been a really good nose grind, and that thing just ruined it. Now I'm gonna do a front side blind with the heel flip out.
I guess you added
And
the
right here, I'm gonna
voiceover
do a
later.
clean nose slide. There we go.
So if I'm
Now
gonna do a
360
let's play,
nose.
I think there should be an
Okay,
idea
change it.
of like why we're doing each thing. Right now it kind of
And
seems like
here
you're
I'm
just
gonna do a
randomly
crooked
doing
with the half cap flip out.
you're just randomly doing tricks.
Also, guys, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to FCS Media.
So
Thank
there
you.
doesn't seem to be
Hello, my name is Donald
like a
Travis.
premise to
Today,
the video other than
I'll
just
try
we're
to
gonna
go
do a
over the
let's
different
play.
duels that were held at FCS. Now, let's begin.
Now,
Let's
this
start
is
with
a
the first match.
unique
First match,
idea,
Christopher Blanco versus Coral Shores.
which is unique in that I've never seen this done before in FCS Media, where we take FCS sports
All right, here
and
we
we
got Chris
have
coming off with a
more like a
nice
deep dive
tie.
analysis of specific plays.
All right, that was a pretty bad shot.
It kind of
Coral
makes me
Shores.
think of a show that's on ESPN Plus that I really like called Detail, from the mind of Kobe Bryant. And it's not just, well, the
bad
show
shot from
started
Coral
with Kobe
Shores.
Bryant analyzing
All right,
and
this time
commenting
with a nice
on
cradle. That's a
different
beautiful cradle
NBA
right there.
players and looking at their game
This time back
film.
points.
And then they expanded it to be other sports
And there we
too.
got the pin.
You know, Peyton Manning analyzing quarterbacks. My
One
favorite,
point
Landon
confused,
Donovan analyzing
but
soccer
should be a good one
players.
since he got the cradle off.
So I really like this idea.
Here we have Leonardo Trials from our FCS to going against
And
Coral
it's
Shores.
cool because
Alright,
Leo,
shot
who's
missile.
actually the guy
Didn't work out.
talking and the guy wrestling right now in blue,
All right.
he brings a certain level of expertise because he is a wrestler.
All right, good job on Leonardo
So,
Trials for keeping middle.
It's not just some random person talking about the game, but someone who
Okay, trying to
who
get the
should
move.
who
Okay,
should
back
and
try on
does
Coral
know,
Shores. I don't know if that was a back shot or
you know
just
what he's
lost.
talking about. Because wrestling, I guess the idea is simple: pin the other guy down. But wrestling has all these other things
Looks
of
like
how you get
Leonardo trying to
points
go
and
for
stuff,
a
and different
catcher.
techniques that are important. And unless you're educated in the sport, you might not really know what's going on or certain
not
things
getting
that are
right here.
significant in a match.
Neutral. Oh, Coral Shores fell. All right, Leonardo's keeping the pin. That's kind of back
He's referring to himself as Leonardo. That's
That's
dedication to his craft. That's professionalism right there. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit.
Not that solid of a bridge. Pin. There's the pin.
Well done, Leonardo.
That's a win for FCS from Leonardo Trials.
So he put chapters for each match. That's helpful. I think there's a little bit too much time in between here.
Here, the next couple matches were forfeits in our favor.
Oh, okay.
All right, up right now we have Austin Rodriguez from FCS versus Coral Shores. All right, starting off with a nice tie-up. Looks like
Wow.
Coral Shores going for a sprawl there. A sprawl snap down. All right,
One's a
good
lot
shot from
feistier than the last, or maybe it's because I'm watching at 1.25 as opposed to the
aggressive
other
fighting
one
right
that
there.
I wasn't.
He went for another shot, didn't work out. Ooh, he went for that head and arm, didn't work out. Good job on Austin for trying out different moves. Run up, Coral fell, but he didn't
Can you
take it down.
can you what? Yeah, what happens if you go out of bounds? I guess you just reset. Okay. Wow.
Roll through. That was a beautiful roll through. He got the pin. Got back points. Best time back points. He's almost got that pin. He's got the pin. I think there's some forfeits coming up because
That was pretty hype.
Coral Shores didn't have a full roster. No. I think we have, yeah, no, another forfeit. More forfeits in FCS's favor. All right, next match is Mason Harrison versus Coral Shores.
Pretty cool because wrestling meets, there's a lot of stuff that happens. You know, there's a lot of matches, so it might be kind of hard to follow. It's not as simple as two teams
Hand fighting there.
playing and then there's one score. And
He got pulled back.
I guess if you were there, you would see the score because
All right,
there
let's
seems to
take
be
off
a
for
scoreboard
Coral Shores.
right here. But I think that's just for this match.
We're active.
Man, yeah, this is a
Looking
pretty
for,
active match. I agree with that
looking for
comment.
possession from FCS. Looks like he's going for Peterson.
So if you're gonna make mention of technical things like that, like a Peterson, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming most people in the audience don't. So that's something you could explain. Maybe if it doesn't take too long. Or you could just say, Peterson, it's a certain type of grapple. It's a certain, just like really quick, like a one-sentence thing. Maybe prepare it beforehand how you would explain certain concepts.
Let's take a look back at the footage.
Oh, cool. Slow-mo replay.
Looks like he got an illegal hold. That's what happened. He got an illegal hold, possibly a full Nelson, or he only grabbed the head instead of the head and arm.
So that was a good explanation. That went on a little too long, but that was pretty cool how you replayed it. Very well done. And you got both of the coaches here saying that wasn't, I guess that wasn't fair. Even Dr. Harrison there getting out of his chair.
Alright, looks like he's going for a setup. Another setup. He's almost got it. He's going for that head and arm. He got the head and arm. Let's go. Ref time, back points. You should be getting that pin.
So, what I think you should be doing is... That was hype. What I think you should be doing is explaining in that moment what players are trying to do, or wrestlers are trying to do in that moment of trying to finish off the pin. Like, what exactly are the things that the coaches are yelling? Do this, put your arm this way, or put your weight here. Or if you're trying to defend yourself from getting pinned, what do the coaches tell you? I think that kind of, like on the court or on the mat perspective would really heighten the experience of watching a wrestling match. Because again, we don't know all that kind of stuff. We being, the uneducated audience.
160.
I don't know if I would include the forfeits part. It just seems like you could just skip through this kind of stuff. Just put on a list like they forfeited these matches.
All right. Here's another match. Here we have Team Gallardo versus Core Shores.
I don't know if that's how you if it's Gallardo, it's Gallardo. I don't know his last name though.
Got the waist. Nice throw. Looks like he's in a pin combination. All right, he let him up. He let him up. All right. Nice fake. Another hit and arm. Wonderful. And you got the pin. First period.
Lots of win by pins for the Patriots.
That was Ricky Hospitales. And that concludes FCS versus Core Shores. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out some more sports content at our FCS Patriots page.
Cool. Yeah, just put Leonardo Trejos. You don't have to put editor. And you definitely want to center that
Hi,
text.
I'm Alejandro Menendez. And this is Matthew Dobson. And today we are going to be doing Tiny Talks. So we're going to be kind of going through the topic of the day. And that today is the Dolphins-Bills game. Very relevant to anyone in Miami.
And maybe even...
I don't know if it's just my setup.
They still stink. Yeah, so anyways, Matthew, what were your thoughts
But-
on the game?
You know, slow start. We started picking up at the second half of the game, end of...
Kind of quiet to me.
Skylar Thompson was actually doing a little bit above average, which is actually pretty good for
Definitely. I mean, for a rookie, I think he went out there and he kind of proved the haters wrong. Because, I mean, on all the shows I was watching, people were like, oh, he shouldn't be in this position. But, I'm a Miami guy. You got to root for whoever's your quarterback. So
I agree.
But honestly, what I think is crazy is, like, if we have two, I think we win that game. You know what I mean?
Yes, I actually for once agree with you, sir.
And honestly, like, our defense did really well against Buffalo. Josh Allen threw a few picks that helped us out. So
I feel
His
like
thumbnail's kind of messed up.
did.
overall, we did
Can
it's
barely
still,
see Dolphins.
let out
Look at the
34 points, but we
quality
also
of
forced
these
turnovers, so-
images for the
Yeah,
logo.
especially with the third string quarterback. And last week, I think we put up 9 or 11 points,
11, yeah.
which is crazy.
So I'd like to see that improvement. And next year, honestly, I really just hope that we can.
I would get rid of putting
build
by
on this
Matthew
because we have a
Dobson
solid
and
core,
Alejandro
except for the last few
Menendez.
weeks.
That's not really something that people put on
Up
a
an O-line and
on a
next year we'll push
podcast.
them harder. And
cover photo.
Could stop us with that offense. You know what I mean? I feel like with more consistency and work over the offseason next year, we are a team that should be feared. And
Yeah.
especially with the Bills and Philadelphia, even though they're really good teams.
I will say 2 minutes and 1 second is not really
Dude, I
not
like
really
him at
enough
the coaching spot, and I think,
content
he's gonna do some great things for this organization to come.
for 1
thank
week's
you for listening
worth
to
of
Tiny
work.
Talks, and we'll see you next
I don't
time.
think
Bye.
1 week's worth of work justifies a 2-minute video. So if you've seen other people do it before, you know, just saying, I say the same thing to them. 2 minutes is not enough for 1 week's worth of content. We got sports highlights here. Hold on a second. So if you're doing sports highlights, it needs to start with the tip-off, the kickoff, whatever like the starting play is, and then you go to the first highlight play. That's just industry standard. When you watch, if you pull up any highlight video, well, the highlights video I watch from these professional leagues, NFL, the MLS is the one I watch. With that opening tip-off. Also, I don't know. Yeah. It looks like you are putting plays for both teams. Yeah. I would have left a little bit more time after that three-pointer. Okay, second quarter throw in. Probably would have started the clip a little bit later. There was too much downtime there at the beginning of that clip. Watching it at 1.25 is pretty wild because it makes them look so much faster. Another deep three for Ryan. Okay. Yeah, if you watch this highlight video, you get a sense of all the big plays in the game. That was crazy. Look at this situation. Okay. So FCS inbounds the ball with like 10 seconds left on the clock after a timeout. And here they go. They drop this play. Ryan gets open, pump fakes, and then makes the three to force overtime at the buzzer. Kind of weird that it skipped straight to this free throw, though. Okay. Pretty good. Just a couple tweaks, like I said.
Of this team. 2 hearts. Posting resources and links for the younger players.
So that was perfect. It starts with the versus screen.
So he has certainly been active.
So you put the versus screen at the beginning of each set if you're doing a Smash highlight video. And then you're just showing each kill, you know, like 20 seconds before each kill.
Or whatever, we don't play the game for the commentators. Here's Dominic connecting. Oh, Dominic's trying to read and super armor through the projectile. Was inches away from connecting. Joker going off stage, still got Arsene. That improved recovering in Dominic. But the percentage might be a little bit too much to overcome at this point. Dominic getting Joker on the flash shot here, does his back up. And then Joker punishes with an up smash. But Dom has put on quite to the snipes. Lucas in the corner. Great landing option there from Dom. Wow, Joker really spamming the reflector right now, slash counter. I'm trying to get back to central. Dom opted for that reflector. Arsene almost coming through here. And Lucas has basically...
You love the commentator declaring that another player is spamming.
One solid hit will take Joker to his final stock as well. Dom is really struggling to touch Joker at all here. He's whiffed so many times in a row. And Dom jumps over.
Smash video is a throwback. This might have been our first scrimmage, or one of our first scrimmages in the fall season.
I think that would have killed him. Laser just below Joker. His Arsene's about to go away. He's gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way, folks. Oh, another snipe to win the set.
Win the set?
And so the Stars lead 1-0 on the set count.
Did I miss something there? Oh, he got a kill here. Okay. Yeah, so you put the versus screen at the beginning of this set correctly. Yeah. Job.
Dom is an FD enjoyer, while Sam is an FD banner. I've got to be honest, during the Smash 4 days, or Super Smash Bros. For Wii U days, I was pro-ban. I respect it more. You gotta earn your living as a Bayonetta player. So don't respect the series or anything else related to the character. I'm just talking about pure Smash character difficulty. So, yeah, what's the over-under of how many weeks until Sam Nunez changes his main from Terry's? I mean, we're not even seeing it in this match, so maybe we're already there.
Well, in retrospect, Sam Nunez did change his main quite a few times in that season, so I don't know what bet I declared at that moment, but yeah, there's a reason I made that comment. R.I.P.
Until Nunez changes his main from Terry to someone else.
Hold up. Can we just hear that?
Thomas goes, every game he will have a new main. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, I guess I repeated the comment.
That's kind of already his modus operandi. God, we got Nicholas out here. Putting Sam against the wall, and then he sneaks over there. Let's see if Sam can get some hype combos going with this Roy. Ninja getting him off stage. Solano sure. Oh, that had to have been input error. Did the side B. I'm trying to land with that double-edged dance. Avoiding Greninja at the ledge, ran away there. Oh, nice trade. He's gonna go back. This should be a punch into double-edged dance. Yes. Fire aspect too. I think Thomas is putting like actual Fire Emblem references right now that none of us know. Oh, Sam Sam had a jab. The back air opportunity there.
Yeah, so Dylan,
I think a sour spot.
the editor of this, has really
Shields well.
done a good job of understanding the expectations of a highlight video,
Greninja misses the counter.
and even the certain stylistic choices and editing choices I've
Didn't even try.
told him to do,
That's a double-edged answer. That DI looked a little suspect. This should be in back air.
and he's done a good job of consistently getting these in. So props to Dylan for achieving
The Shuriken, the counter.
rather consistent standard of excellence in esports highlights.
Oh, a counter from Greninja. So the dream still lives for him, but Sam comes in with invincibility. Oh, that was kind of epic. Fire and water meeting in the middle of the stage are just too high.
He left that comment in.
Landing onto the platform, but Greninja with a proper punish. I guess Sam needed to angle his shield down, protect from the shield poke there. Or perhaps he let go a little too early. Oh, a power dunk read. And staying disciplined to avoid those shurikens while off stage.
I do like that it has the chapters.
Something I noticed about Sam in the warm-ups, he does those rising tackles, aka the up B, at the perfect range. Basically every time. That is critical.
Well, that's a good touch.
Oh, punishes with the power geyser. Let's see if we can get another one. Greninja running for his life right now. Shoot him with the radical. And the crowd was right all along, folks. I mean, I'm talking to the crowd right now. That was right. Oh, okay. That was, I think, one of the only times that Sam has been punished by the shuriken. But as I was saying, the crowd was right, folks. Sam Nunez with a sizable lead with the Terry. This has been by far the most dominant game of this set. And I don't think it's any coincidence. It's with Terry. He tech rolls in. Could have been a mistake. But Nicholas did not punish. Oh. Greninja trying to get back to stage. He does. Okay, I think Sam kind of
Look at that. I looked at the date. 9/22. Time flies when you're having fun. Put it back on normal speed.
And the dash attack will take the W for the Stars in this preseason scrimmage. Brought to you by Dominic and Sam Nunez.
So they played this third one as a courtesy. Dom putting in work with his Kazuya combos.
Looks like we'll be able to get some of our bench players in on this second scrimmage. I wonder if the starters will
There I am talking about the next scrimmage. Well done to Dylan there.
Alright, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be asking who's going to win the Super Bowl and by how much. You already know, another day, another dollar. Ryan, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl?
Gotta put some background music on this.
It's gonna
48 seconds. 48 seconds for a whole week of work.
It's going to be Tua.
Not enough substance here, folks.
Alright, Noble, who do you think's
I love the way the background looks.
The Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl by like 17-14.
It's edited well.
Win the Super Bowl and by how
I don't think you need to have your Mason ask the question every single time. At least you don't need to show that. You can just skip to everyone giving their answer.
Alright, and Duties, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl?
Dolphins, 25 by 7. 100%.
Yes,
25 by 7? What? What did that even mean?
So, yo, I'm going to be asking people what they did for Christmas. So, yeah, let's get it going.
Credits should be your full name, by the way. Mason R. Should have the full name.
Open presents, you know, same old, like nothing special.
Nothing special?
Nothing special.
get for Christmas?
I got a bunch of like little things, but my main gift was a cruise trip for spring break, which is like a birthday gift and like Christmas gift. But yeah.
Okay, so 2 in 1. Nice.
2 in 1. It was pretty nice.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm here with Houston, my man Houston, and what did you do for Christmas?
Man, you know what I'm saying with it. You know, he was with the Lord, honestly. He was with the Lord. The Lord was cooking. The Lord was cooking. Like
The Lord was cooking.
This Christmas. You know what I'm saying?
Amen. Charlie and
I love that we have Hello Gorgeous in the background the entire time.
just in general, like over the break.
Alright, so my cousins from Spain came like early on in the break, so you know we went to Matheson Hammock and stuff like that. Then I went to during the break. I went to like Charleston, Savannah actually. I went to Kennedy Space Center also. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like to Savannah too though.
Yo, for real?
Yeah.
What is this conversation?
Hey, Vicky from Southwest, and Vicky, what did you do over the Christmas break?
There's this weird in the fade. Listen, they like what was that? I don't know. That fade sounded kind of weird.
Vicky from Southwest, and Vicky, what did you do over the Christmas break?
Like over the whole break?
Yeah, over the break in general.
What did you do over Christmas break? What, over the whole break? Come on. What did you do over Christmas break?
You know, my friends and my family, and yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.
She's a one. Okay,
Look at Ulpi's reaction.
Okay, bye.
Look at him.
She's a one. Okay, I'm here with my boy Isaiah. And Isaiah, what did you do during Christmas?
I had family in town, and that was about it. We just stay here. I played a lot of basketball. It was great.
You're so good at acting, bro.
Whoever is filming or standing right next to the camera person is way louder than the people that we're supposed to be listening to. I get that it's like at a party or whatever, but you know, it doesn't sound good. You need to get yourself a better situation for recording because these interviews don't sound very good.
You just hung out and that's it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We went on the lake sometimes, caught some fish, went fishing.
Hey, family, man.
Yeah.
Why is it that the good? Okay, I'm here with Leah, and Leah, what did you do over the break?
During the break, well, I didn't go anywhere, so I went home.
The arm and the all of this is a little excessive for me. I would have stopped already. Whoever's filming, for some reason, needed to move the camera to frame up the hello Gorgeous sign. Look.
We rode on our ATV around a lot, so yeah, ATV and hanging with
Whoever filmed just said, I just shivered. Listen, we gotta have a little bit more professionalism with our filming, folks.
Alright, fam, ATV, gotcha.
Thank you.
One of the default iMovie credits, and this is not even a credit, the credits thing in iMovie. This is the title and subtitle thing. Come on.
I'm Noble. And I'm Jake. And we're gonna ask people who's gonna be in the Final Four.
What's your Final Four predictions?
Dolphins, obviously. They're gonna win it all this year, but it's
Didn't age well.
Dolphins, Chiefs from the AFC. NFC's gonna be the Niners and Tampa Bay. Underrated team. That's what I think.
I think.
Wait, who did he say?
Tampa Bay from the AFC. NFC's this year, but it's gonna be Dolphins, Chiefs from the AFC.
Okay, one out of two.
NFC's gonna be the Niners and Tampa Bay. Underrated.
You got the Niners, right? Give them that.
That's what I think.
I think the New York Giants. Yeah, they're really the Vikings. What's your Final Four predictions?
Dolphins and Jaguars, and the Vikings and the Cowboys.
Thank you.
Alright, I think that the Final Four predictions are, I'd have to go the Dolphins and Bengals, and the Cowboys and the Eagles.
For the Final Four, I think maybe I hope the Dolphins and maybe the Jaguars, and then the Giants and maybe someone else. Thank you.
I think the Final Four, I have to be honest, I haven't been watching that much of this football season. I was pretty into soccer over the winter break. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm from KC. That's where I was born. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs and the Bills. That's the 1 and 2, right? The number 1 and 2.
Bills lost. Got that one wrong.
We're the 1 and 2 seed of the NFC. We got the Eagles Cowboys. So that's kind of epic.
I got the Eagles right.
So yeah, Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills as the Final Four. And then I have to say who won, who's gonna win.
I don't. If you want.
I'm gonna say Chiefs.
Chiefs, okay.
Okay. Still a little short. Actually, I'll correct myself. Very short. So if you're doing one of these interview videos, I'm making a new rule that you need to have. I remember which number I picked. Either 8 or 10. You need to have at least 8 interviews. If you're gonna do one of these interview videos, you need to have at least 8 different interviews in your video, because we're just not getting enough out of these interview videos, and we waste a whole week and like get like 2 people in a video, and it's not enough.
Yes, today we're gonna be interviewing people on what they.
I went ahead and added music to this video.
So what did you do for Christmas break?
I went to Gainesville for a college visit to University of Florida, and then I went to Savannah for vacation.
So Tony, what did you do over Christmas break?
I spent a lot of time with my family. It was very fun. I went on vacation. Good stuff.
Wow. Way too short. And that's something that everybody in your period could have answered easily. Just boom, boom, boom. You just get everyone's answer. And the other thing is, if you're gonna get 2 people, get 2 quality interviews. Like, we didn't get any follow-up, nothing. So you got to think, what is a whole week's worth of content? If you're doing one of these interview shows, take from maybe the best example we have right now of an interview show, which is Hall Talk. That's run by Joel and Leon in 5th period. And look at the amount of stuff they pack into each episode. And it's a lot more work. And I'm not even saying you have to do all that work. You can just interview the people in your period right there if you want to do one of these interview shows. But it's about making sure you take full advantage of your time and you get the most of each interview when you're there with that person. Okay, another highlight video. You got to remember, highlight videos have to start with the beginning of the game. So in the case of a basketball game, it needs to start with the tip-off. So pretty lopsided because Jade Christian's not really getting any highlights. But there should be highlights of both teams. Right now, the way the game's going, it's fine that you don't have highlights for Jade Christian, because it was a pretty big run for FCS at the beginning of this game. Pretty unfortunate inbounds pass. Yeah, they went on a run there. Look at that. This was leading by a lot. Hold up. Yeah, okay. 2nd quarter, then 3rd quarter. Like a well-made Yeah, it looks like a well-made highlight video here. Oh no. I think I spoke too soon because we don't really get the full fourth quarter. I mean, it cuts off with, let's take a look. 5 minutes left. The highlight video ends. I took a shortcut there. You know, it was a blowout win. Don't get me wrong, it's a blowout win. There's no question about that. But these highlight videos are, you highlight them to the very end. And look at this text. This is not FCS font. FCS branded font are either Arial, Montserrat, or Roboto condensed. And this text is not even centered. I can show you how to do those things in Premiere, but if you open Essential Graphics and you're editing the text, all the options are right there to align the text correctly and to change the font face and all that stuff. Headphone user warning. Well, you probably tilt the camera up a little bit.
Boy.
So there's an issue with these. There's an issue with these skits that I'm finding, that some stuff is super quiet and then the sound effects are so loud, like makes them makes you need to put a headphone user warning. And so we got to find a balance for how loud stuff is. That's why I tell you guys to highlight everything and just put normalize all peaks to 0 decibels. You can also use in Essential Sound. You can use if you click on the sound and you go to loudness and you put auto match, it'll automatically match the levels of the sound. Yeah, let me. So he says that was loud. I hope my dad didn't hear me. Boy.
Dad?
I don't think my mom's here.
It's just what it's just a collection of kids getting whooped for playing at 3 a.m. Okay, what's going on with those credits? You gotta center the text. All the stuff is in Essential Graphics. If you open that, if you go to Window and you pull up Essential Graphics, all the font editing stuff, like the text edit stuff, is in Essential Graphics. You know, the C here in Cueto, it needs to be capitalized. There needs to be a space after boy. Also, the credits are just super short. All right, 12-second theology. Here we go.
Welcome, Patriots. This is FCS Media. My name is George Perez, and this is...
Shout out to his hat. Lef and Tav. Like Alpha and Omega, if you will. That's pretty dope. That's a shout out to a previous video by him.
Episode 9 of 12-second theology. The rules are simple. I'll ask a question about the Bible or theology, and then you will have 12 seconds to choose an answer before the answer is revealed. This week's topic is the prophets. We got Jonah, we got Malachi, we got Zechariah, we got Micah might smite ya, we got Obadiah. Like, come on, bro. That's crazy. Let's get it. Question 1. Which prophet was the only one sent to a Gentile nation? A. Noah, B. Nimrod, C. Jonah, or D. Nahum?
Well, Jonah was sent to Nineveh, obviously a Gentile nation, so if he's the only one, it has to be him.
The answer is C. Jonah. Question 2. Who is the only minor prophet to mention Elijah? Is it A. Micah, B. Malachi, C. Obadiah, or D. Isaiah?
Man, I'm gonna go with Malachi.
The answer is B. Malachi. Question 3. Which prophet prophesied God's wrath on Nineveh? Is it A, Nahum, B, Jonah, C, Joel, or D, Joshua?
God's wrath on Nineveh. I'm gonna go with one of them speaks to Nineveh. I'm gonna go with Nahum.
The answer is A, Nahum. Question 4. Who was the last prophet before John the Baptist? Is it A, Hosea, B, Amos, C, Micah, or D, Malachi?
Well, Malachi is the last one in our ordering of the Old Testament canon. Amos. I don't even know.
The answer is D, Malachi. Question 5.
Yeah.
How did the crew find out that Jonah was the reason there was a storm? Is it A, a fish swallowed him, B, an angel told them, C, they were casting lots, or D, they were praying to God?
They cast lots, and the lots fell to Jonah. And then Jonah confessed.
The answer is C, they were casting lots. Question 6. What is the name of Hosea's wife? A, Miriam, B, Gomer.
The typo here, it should say Hosea's, which is what you said, but it needs to be apostrophe S.
C, Deborah, or D, Hannah.
It's Gomer. Pretty crazy story out of Hosea.
The answer is B, Gomer. Chapter of the week, 1 Kings 18, 1 through 40.
All right.
Read it after
So
school
we got
or whenever
all
you
but
got time later today.
all but one
Thanks for
there.
watching. Subscribe to FCS Media on
I
YouTube
think.
for more content. Have a blessed week, everyone.
Hey guys, and welcome to our third
We go.
episode. Today we will be talking about
High school Bible study represent with that last video and this one.
in Daniel 3, verse 1 through 7. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made a gold-plated image, whose height, including the pedestal, was 60 cubits, and its width 6 cubits. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent word to assemble the satraps, the prefects and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates and lawyers, and all the chief officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. The satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates and lawyers, and all the chief officials of the provinces gathered together for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And they stood before it. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, "You are commanded, O peoples, nations, and speakers of every language, that at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, dulcimer, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be thrown into the midst of a furnace of blazing fire." So when the people heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, dulcimer, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, all the peoples, nations, and speakers of every language fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego have not yet
This
been
text is
introduced
kind
at
of
this
off
point in the
center.
story. They were
So,
here during this time, and they knew that they could not bow down to
like
this
the image is fine. I would
God
make the
tells us
text a little
not to bow
bigger
down to
so it fills
anyone
up the whole
except
thing.
him. And
But it needs to be
Nebuchadnezzar clearly does
centered.
not value that.
That's for sure.
He makes all the people that are there bow down to his golden statue. It's as if Nebuchadnezzar was implying there would be no other kingdoms after his through building the statue and telling the people to worship it. It was approximately 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. Its location refers to the Tower of Babel, whereas its reasoning was to unite the people. We are not sure what the statue was, whether it represented Nebuchadnezzar or one of his gods, but we
Right.
do know that the unity of his empire was based on the worship of this golden image. After that, we continue to see who Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are and what they're going to do about all of this. We continue to read in verses 8 through 15. At that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought malicious accusations against the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, declaimer, bagpipe, and all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall be thrown into the midst of a furnace of a blazing fire. There are certain Jews who you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar, in a furious rage, gave a command to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, declaimer, and all kinds of music, to fall down and worship the image which I have made, very good. But if you do not worship, you shall be thrown out once into the midst of a furnace of a blazing fire. And what God is there who can rescue you out of my hands?" Everyone now is admiring King Nebuchadnezzar and bowing down to his statue, except Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they refuse to bow down, the king asks to see them and threatens to throw them into a fiery furnace. In verses 16 to 18, we find out how they responded to this. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to answer you on this point. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he will rescue us from your hands, O king. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." These men had no doubt that their God had the power to save them, even if he chose not to. They were not going to give up on what they believed in, even if it was at the price of their lives. They knew whatever happened was according to God's plan, whether they made it out alive or not. Now, we read how Nebuchadnezzar reacted to the trio's statements. Then, Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and his facial expression changed toward Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then, he gave a command that the furnace was to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. He commanded certain strong men in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the furnace of blazing fire. Then, these 3 men were tied up in their trousers, their coats, their turbans, and their clothes, and were thrown into the midst of the furnace of the blazing fire. Because the king's command was urgent and the furnace was extremely hot, the flame of the fire killed the men who carried up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell into the midst of the furnace of blazing fire, still tied up. When the men went against Nebuchadnezzar's orders, he was furious and set the fire as hot as possible. His men even ended up dying just from throwing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire. This shows that God can protect his man much better than Nebuchadnezzar could. Now we pick up from the cliffhanger in verses 24 to 30 and see what happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king looked and was astounded, and he jumped up and said to his counselors, "Did we not throw 3 men who were tied up into the midst of the fire?" They replied to the king, "Certainly, O king." He answered, "Look, I see 4 men untied walking around in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt, and the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods." Then Nebuchadnezzar approached the door of the blazing furnace and said, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out of there, come here." Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the midst of the fire. The satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's counselors gathered around them and saw that in regard to these men, the fire had no effect on their bodies. Their hair was not singed, their clothes was not scorched or damaged, even the smell of smoke was not on them. Nebuchadnezzar responded and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants who believed in, trusted in, and relied on him. They violated the king's command and surrendered their bodies rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that any people, nation, or language that speaks against anything offensive, the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, shall be cut into pieces, and their houses made a heap of rubbish, for there is no other God who is able to save in this way." Then the king caused Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to prosper in the province of Babylon. Daniel's friends in the fire were joined by a 4th individual, with an appearance of a son of the gods. We don't know who it was exactly, but it could have been an angel or Christ himself. The men were not at all harmed, not a hair burnt, and they didn't even smell like fire. Nebuchadnezzar's heart was not yet changed, but is still amazed by what the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego could do. He even made some new decrees, just based on the power of their God. Alright guys, that's all for today's episode. Always remember that God will be there, even in the midst of the fire. As we learn from these 3, stand up for what you believe in. Bye.
Stand up for what you believe in. Shout out to that VeggieTales.
And our hosts are Sophia, Danny, Jaylee, and Cindy.
Okay, kind of hard to understand what's being said.
It's really nice. What? It's a lamp. I have a lamp. Oh. Look, actually, I'm kidding.
Aspect ratio.
I have Snapple. Jaylee, okay. Cindy, what were you talking
Aspect
about?
ratio is kind of weird.
All of that stuff you were saying, and then yeah. I'm talking about having a Snapple. Jaylee, nobody gives a crap about your Snapple.
Definitely can't have a video where people are saying.
Cindy, just talk about what you were talking about before, and Jaylee and Danny and me will like talk as well. But I don't want to go back because it was scary. It made a weird. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Guys, I'll carry it. I won't talk about my lights anymore. I promise you. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, let's resort back to Danny. Danny, can you tell a story, just any story that you found? No, that was just sad. whole story. Oh my gosh, Danny, a scary one, not a sad one.
Yeah, it was so sad. Like how this girl, she was like best friends with her mom's parents, like her grandparents, and then her grandpa started like therapy for cancer.
Okay, we have the music in the background.
So like, you know, they spent a lot of time together, and like they were super super close. And then like the grandpa died, and then a parent took like her.
Very difficult to understand anything that's being said.
Bro, nobody wants to hear that. Oh my gosh, that is so boring.
Shut up, so. No, it's so sad. That's so sad, Danny. Yeah, so it's shut up, Cindy. Like nobody cares.
Oh my gosh.
I literally said I felt sad. Guys, I have some creepy stories from what?
Was this supposed to be what the video is, or
Text messages.
What do you, oh my gosh, just say them, come on.
did this podcast actually go wrong?
In the internet. Look, a girl was growing random teeth, and then her mom said it was a genetic problem and had to go to the hospital.
Why is that so specific?
So I saw it on a video.
Oh.
I know, right? Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys now. Alright. Okay, I got it. I forgot I was on call. I was drinking. Alright, I got you guys. What are we doing? No other couple on the planet had a larger dragon to slay.
What?
Than Henry and Anne. Maybe it was no dragon at all. Nothing as sinister as what the couple had allowed to crawl in between them and separate them. First, the succubus came to Henry and separated.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to the next one because it's hard to understand what's being said because of sound quality. Okay, we got a denomination discussion here. You have to watch it in YouTube Studio because it's yet to premiere.
Something really is weird with American Christianity. For a very long
So if you do a podcast, you need to look at that document I put on Teams of podcast expectations. And in that document, you'll see one of the requirements is that podcasts have intro and outro music.
And their impact they've had
this one didn't have.
Causing them to grow more and more liberal.
Yeah, there are chapters in this one.
Can be done about this.
Yeah, there's chapters. You don't need to put the 0 at the beginning.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Operation Reconquista.
Get rid of that.
Explanation by
Oh.
An explanation by denomination discussion. I'm your host, Isaac Treto, and I'm more than honored to be here with you to express this great operation that is soon to be underway. So, what is
Gotta put in video location or the Christian school.
I will answer shortly. Now, what good would
that was a good intro, by the way.
If I did not first start with acknowledging my Lord's power in all of this? So let's speak with him right now.
I'll put people in vlogs, podcasts.
When we read your scriptures, we notice how throughout the history of your people, Israel and then the church, we see how many times the temple and the church fell to
And the
idolatry.
video language is obviously English.
I pray, Lord God, that now when we are facing this trial again, that we may be your faithful remnant,
United
who is willing and
States.
able to take back this church and to do our will in establishing your dominance over all people and all things, Lord God. We know that your people are intended to suffer sometimes, and this is all for your glory and purpose as you have dominion over all things. I pray that in this trying time, your dominion may be shown, and we may be able to fight for your kingdom, Lord God, and be an exemplary people above all else as followers of your glory and your name. In this we pray. Amen. So, the story cannot begin if we don't first go to the beginning. Same too is it for this operation. How did we get here? Why do we need such an operation? This I'll tell you. Long ago, many years
Capitalize
ago,
the first letter of sentences.
there was a great shift in American churches, and we realized that maybe these churches were so big and we couldn't really contain things like we used to. Liberalism and leftism and secularism, which is very different than political leftism, began to take a foothold in the modern church, and this was very
We have
now instead of fighting it like the virus it was,
graphics.
fighting the virus with medication and vaccines, instead a lot of
Good.
faithful Christians made the foolish mistake of running away. A lot of these beautiful and esteemed churches with so many impacts to society and beauty were abandoned by faithful Christians who wanted nothing more than to serve the will of the Lord. This was one of the saddest points in modern church history, as we left behind not only our church, but the institutions that it had. These institutions affected greater society.
I agree, that was a very
Many
sad time.
individuals were allowed to spread throughout the world,
Very
such as organizations like
disappointing
Planned
time.
Parenthood, who mercilessly and admittedly murder babies through abortion, and also many evil capitalist institutions who want nothing more than money of people so that they may glorify their own image and make us worship them as gods. This is not so, and we must not let these idolatrous people continue to take a hold of our greater society. If we want to do this, we need to take back the mainline church. You may ask me now, how exactly are we going to do this? How are we going to take back these esteemed mainline churches? Well, it's quite simple really, this formula. You see, many of these churches have been in the decline in recent years. With age of their members increasing and the amount of members decreasing, they are not exactly in a good spot. So, any new members are very, very warmly welcomed. Now, of course, with these new members, they bring their new doctrine and beliefs, but these churches unfortunately still hold fast to their liberal leftism. This, of course, can be avoided and can be straight away if we remain constant, remain true when we come to these churches, when we come
Hold
as the
fast to their liberal leftism.
revive these sick churches, because these churches, though they are beautiful and institutions of God, they are sick.
That's
and they are
just default. That's not even holding fast. That's just
is healing. Now, you may ask, why are we doing this? We have such
default
wonderful and
sinful
amazing evangelical
humanity.
churches already. I'll explain that to you. Now, these churches, while they are very good, I'd like you to think of it this way. It's their essence and their accident. Their essence is who they truly are. Their accident is the situation they're in. The mainline church's essence is a very strong man, a powerful man who wants to do things for the good of God, but he can't because he's so sick. Evangelical churches are the opposite of this. They are very weak men. Not that they are spiritually weak, it's just their essence, their genes that they are weak. And they are very healthy though, and they are on fire for the Lord. They want to make true change. Now, if we can bring these two together and heal the mainline churches by the help of the evangelical churches, we can surely do a very great thing for the kingdom of God. Now, when we join in these
Plan
churches,
is
we will come in greater numbers.
heal the
in greater
mainline
beliefs, and
mainline churches
now,
through
obviously,
the
as we know, these
evangelical
churches are filled
churches.
with a bunch of old little liberal grandmas, and while of course they're very Christian in their essence,
I think
they
a
lack
lot
a
of
true relationship
evangelicals have
with
been
God,
trying
our
that for
Father
a
God.
while.
That's okay. That's why we're coming to these churches, to make them alive again and to give them that true relationship. Eventually, of course, since most of these people are so old in their age and so weak in their doctrine, they will be weeded out and die. Physically and spiritually, unfortunately. We should not encourage death, obviously, but it's
Wow.
obviously the natural order of things. Now, we, the faithful minority, will have
Tombstones
awakened
with the
those who are
hammer and
faithful
sickle on
in these
them.
churches to stand up and defend
Kind
the
of
truth of love,
savage.
and we will now be the majority. We will rise through the ranks of these churches and have a great hold over the true beliefs of churches and their doctrines. Once we have this, we will be unstoppable. We will be with the image of God and blessed
Very
by God,
optimistic
bring these
view.
beautiful, beautiful churches back to where they once were and take back the mainline institutions to serve God as they were originally intended to. This is the ultimate result and ultimate goal of the mainline churches. So, let's have a brief recap over what we've covered so far. Mainline churches, though once beautiful, were corrupted by liberalism and leftism, which is different than political leftism, and fell to the wiles of the devil. Now, instead of fighting, the faithful remnant went away. We now are going to come back and retake these beautiful, beautiful churches and the institutions therewith. Now, let's take a quick intermission and, let's take some time to reflect on what we just heard and pretty much write some stuff down about it. Ready? Let's go. And while you think about what you just heard, I want you to think practically. How am I going to do this if I so wish to do it? How can I help others get involved if I cannot do it? Think about these things and pray about it. I'll give you a minute.
They're actually a
Not
minute.
finished? That's good. Let's continue
Oh.
on with some of the main points. How are we going to delegate this work? Because obviously this is very important work, and if we don't do it properly, we may fail. For right now, there are 3 simple types of people we need to help in our service. Number 1 is the most intense, and this is encouraged for strong Christians only. Christians who will not waver no matter what. These are the pioneers, the people who are willing to lead the churches first and begin to make a foothold, establish connections, start small groups, Bible studies, fellowship meetings with other conservatives in this church who are looking for reinforcements. Once they are there, they will establish a small community and subgroup within the church, which will now allow people to the foot soldiers. These people will come after a subcommunity of these churches has been established. Once they're in, they'll be able to greatly serve and do the work of taking out the majority, becoming the majority conservatives and bringing back the churches. Now, obviously, some people cannot do this. They're very tied to their beautiful churches, and that's okay. That is just as good as trying to revive these mainline churches. But they still, of course, want to help because they want to glorify the kingdom of God. Here's how you can do that. You can be a messenger. Help people
This
out.
really is a
Expand the great
huge
word of God
issue
and spread
right
this great
now,
word all
so
throughout as much as you can. If
you know,
know
props to
someone who
Isaac
has a
for
platform,
picking
promote this to them. Talk to your pastors. Talk to your
an
elders,
issue,
your clergy, your bishop, your cardinal, whoever it may be. Speak to them and help them realize
or
that
something that really is an
and
issue,
enough, we may very
the
well
real
cause some very,
problem.
very real change within the church. I know we can do this, and if we do it this way, we will succeed. Now, I'm going to answer some objections that many people have against this
That
method.
this
Number one
generation's
being, what if I have
facing,
kids or I
and
have a family? I'm not going to want to expose them to false
by
doctrine.
this
This is
generation, I mean all the
super
people
right
who are
and I
alive right
encourage you to
now,
defend your family as much as you do.
across
But
all
here's
the,
the thing. You get to be the
you know,
parents you
different
are
age
because of them,
groups.
because moreover, children need parents, not a church, to show them the will of God.
This
Because
affects all
parents
of
are
us.
predestined and elected to be the spiritual guides of their children. This is what the disciples were taught by Jesus, what the disciples taught the saints, and what the saints taught people like Calvin and Luther. This doctrine has been around in our church for so long, we are now simply trying to reinstate that. Next is it really worth false doctrine for some pretty buildings? That is important to know, and yes, you're right. We can much rather have these office-building evangelical churches yet be on fire for the Lord. But we must realize that beauty is objective of the church of God. When people see a beautiful thing, they will see it is good. And this isn't necessarily about the buildings. But if we remember several times throughout Scripture, Christ called the remnant few, and God even in the Old Testament, to retake their temple. Think of it this way. You obviously love your house, and you love your family, and you do anything to defend your house. Now, if someone broke into your house and took it, you wouldn't live in your neighbor's, right? You'd want to take back your own. This is essentially what we are trying to do. If that makes sense, then yeah, it just makes sense, right? Now, another objection a lot of people have is it really worth it? This may take too long, and we may stray away from our faith being surrounded by such false doctrine. In this I say, yes, you're right. We will be kind of starving ourselves from the right doctrine, but what we starve, others will be able to feast. But we, of course, need to eat if we want to fight. For this I say, stay in your evangelical churches, stay within, and you will be able to have that nourishment that you can bring to these starved churches. When we do this, this will be amazing for us, and we will be able to strive so much greater than we ever believed we could. Well, folks, I believe that's it for my summary of Operation Reconquista. There will be more in-depth studies as we progress through this, and this is just simply an introduction to what we will be doing. There's so much action that needs to be taken, and there are so many people who are passionate about this. If we all pitch in and contribute, and if we all talk to our pastors, our elders, those with large platforms to help out, I'm sure that we can all do something great. So let's conclude now with a very good word of prayer. Heavenly Father, this operation and everything we do is for your glory and your honor. I pray that it may be as such, and that we may never stray away from the path of righteousness. I pray that it may be for your will, and that we will persevere in all this, and we will have the victory that you have called us to have. I pray that we may not fight amongst each other, but fight with each other, that we may be a servant, together body, your bride of Christ, that we may serve your kingdom forever and ever, until you come again to save us and to bring us for your eternal kingdom in the New Jerusalem. I pray these things in your name. Amen. Before I go, everybody, remember, the church is an embassy of heaven, and if heaven doesn't have an embassy, then it cannot reach its citizens living abroad, us here on this earth. Stay in your church, stay in the word, and be sure to help in this great operation, Reconquista. This is Isaac Treno. I wish you well. I pray that God will bless you and keep you, and that we will preserve. Goodbye.
Need to have outro music. This text needs to, maybe it is centered. Doesn't look like it. Looks like the F's a little to the right. But text needs to be centered, and I don't know if you're using. I think this is Montserrat, but like the very light version. You can just use normal or regular or whatever it's called, and you don't need to put FCS Media at the bottom. It's already in the YouTube video. Okay. So let's back here. Next. Wow. Point right off of the tip off. It's a good music choice. And it's a good mix. Like it's a good level of the video and the music. It's just our style of highlight video is to not have background music. Pretty chaotic moment here. Like I said, you know, the music's not bad. Like, it doesn't make the video bad. It's more of just like a style choice for me. Because when I watch other highlight videos from other leagues, like other professional leagues, they don't have background music. They have the clips. It was a bit of a sucker punch on that inbounds pass. Dade Christian wasn't ready. The words moving. You don't need to do that. Leave it just, you know, like with it not moving. FCS font though. Oh wait, this is a premiere. Put up this screen. 20 minutes. All right, folks. Strap in for this one.
Welcome back to Keeping Up with FCS. This is the first episode of 2023. It's been a while.
Yeah, Happy New Year's, guys. Hope you guys all
People
had a
in
wonderful
blogs
Christmas.
And if you guys
is
travel anywhere, hope you're all safe.
category I would give it.
So, I'm Joshua Vasquez.
And I'm Isaac Menendez.
And we are going to be talking about some...
So, Josh, how was your break? How was it? What'd you do?
As I was saying, we're going to talk about the break, new changes, some stuff. So, my break was pretty phenomenal, if I do say so myself. I had a joyous time. I stayed in Miami. Nope, I went to Orlando for a quick weekend.
What'd you do over there?
Went to Universal with the fam. You know how it is. I also had a really good Christmas. How about you?
The first week was pretty uneventful. I just went to my cousin's house a lot. I basically spent the whole break with my cousins. That was fun.
You went to Colorado though, right?
Yeah. Like at first, like when it was like a little cold front or whatever. Bro, it was cold.
It was mad cold. It was like double, triple layer cold.
Bro, like that was a cold Christmas, bro.
It was a cold Christmas, right on Christmas and Christmas Eve.
Bro, like when you go outside, like
you,
cold,
like,
bro.
you could see your own breath. That's how cold it is. Like, you know, where, like, yeah, you could. There were points where I could see.
Bro,
my
like
breath.
when you went outside, like you felt cold, right?
But yeah, I felt cold. Like I felt that through my jeans.
Bro, I just felt cold. But we played football in the cold. Oh my gosh, my hands were freezing.
It was only like 60 degrees though, right?
No, it was in the 30s.
30s?
No, not 30, 40. It was 40. It was 40. Yes, it was 40. It was 40. There was a day that I got 40. At night, it's at night it gets colder, and the wind chill's even worse.
Yeah, because there's no sun.
Yeah, that's how cold works. Because like when you have sun.
No, but like
no. When you have sun, right?
No, but
so
you feel it.
The sun is hot.
Yeah, but you still feel the heat on the earth, but you just don't feel the sensation of the sun.
It warms you up. You ever been standing out direct in the sun? It's so warm. Like you feel glorified.
Okay, but like you can still stand under the shade and it's still be hot. It's not like if you're not in.
No, but the aroma of the sun, like
the aroma.
Like if you're standing in a place with no sun, of course it's gonna be chillier, but you still have the sun around you.
What?
It's like an effect. Okay. But when you're not standing in the sun, when it's nighttime, there's no aroma.
It's like the when a sun goes behind a cloud, it's not like the temperature just instantly drops.
Exactly, because the warmth was still there. It doesn't disappear. It takes moments. That's a little tangent.
Learned that from Mr. Aguirre right there.
Did we?
No.
So for break, after that, my hands being frozen off. I went to Colorado. I went snowboarding, went skiing. It was a really nice town. It's in Vail. I don't know if anyone knows what Vail is. Vail, Colorado. It's a really nice place. Very friendly. People there are really nice. The hot chocolate was scrumptious. I remember waking up in the morning, getting some hot chocolate, a croissant, getting on the bus, going snowboarding. That's a life like you want to live, you know.
I think living somewhere in the snow is nice.
No, I would have to live in here. Like
Fix the description a little bit.
But like just have a separate home, you know, like double life, almost like
have a separate home for the summer, and then when it gets cold, you come back here.
Changes to FCS. Maybe this should just be called the Changes to FCS podcast, because that's something that's talked about quite a bit on here.
I hear it's majority though.
It is pretty hard, but if you you learn quickly. Like it's not something that.
I mean, as you should be talking about that on here. It's keeping up with FCS.
Oh yeah, my friend gave up when he tried it, and then he just went to skiing.
That's what he did. But like, bro, you gotta like try. Like, if you're gonna keep that mentality in life, you gotta have the mom mentality, bro.
Or maybe this is not right for him.
No, he's just not in the right headspace for the snowboarding.
Anyway, so now with the new year comes a new pep rally we had, or not pep rally, an informational rally that we had today.
Informational rallies.
We got an email in the handbook. Like, how much change? So I was a little enlightened before this. I already knew these changes were happening. What's the first one you'd like to provide information?
I think we all know what I think I'm going to say, but I think we should save that one for last. So first we have phones are now category 2 instead of category 3.
I don't get in trouble anyways for my phone.
Okay, but some listeners might be some greedy little buggers and have their phone out when they're not supposed to. So guys, they load it.
We're not advising for you to do this.
I am advising if you get 10 demerits in a week, you will get a detention. So just don't get caught twice.
Just don't put your phone out. Just don't put your phone out. Save the texting and the stuff for later.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for everything. And the classroom, well, it is not that time nor the place. All right. So next, I think we should just say the big one now. What is it, Isaac?
That's right.
I think it's the final one.
The finals. Now you can skip finals with straight A's. It's great news for everyone.
Free. Like I'm gonna get that every time. Like I feel like that pushes students to want to work.
It does. I feel myself
in
an entirely new dimension of locked in.
That's part of it. Yeah.
I want to take these finals. When I tell you I have not pulled out a game,
I'm sending it.
I have not pulled out a game in a straight 48 hours. I don't think I eat, sleep, and dream about Mr. Aguiar's A+ in that class. I am not letting anything stop me.
Now like if you don't have any finals at all, like you're like you have no finals, you're not gonna go to school.
I guess so.
Like don't you need like a certain amount of days to?
Well, they're half days.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
but
like you get absent days. Maybe you just go in for school and like you watch some movies.
Or just go in and leave, like dip, like out of there, like afuera. But
I think this gives the students a whole new level of motivation.
Yeah, I think they.
Me, Josh,
maybe they will make a.
I am not letting anything stop me. I'm like, that's great, pal. That's just great. They're like, I don't want to take the final. I'm like, neither do I. Let's both lock in. We are going to.
I think they'll make a provision for people. I think they should make a provision for people who aren't taking.
I don't think it's important.
Finals.
Like misdemeanor ones.
Yeah, I don't know. There.
Good news. Taco truck next Tuesday.
Wait, what?
Or not taco truck, but there's food trucks in general.
Bro,
they might have a taco truck. Yeah, there's a food truck next Tuesday.
What was that? Oh, that was the high school hangout.
There's a food truck next Tuesday, so make sure to bring your IDs.
Sorry, this is.
Oh, I remembered.
Older.
Make sure to wear your IDs all time.
Yeah, they're letting you up for that.
So whenever you go to the bathroom, it's a little.
That's unfortunate. These guys did record this and turn it in on time.
They're not gonna chewing gum. You got your
like no more warnings.
No more warnings. No more warnings. No more warnings.
I guess I gotta.
They'll tell you.
That's unfortunate.
Like they've been doing.
Of when the premiere's coming out, or when it's premiering.
No, because,
I think it premieres tomorrow.
At the beginning of the year, playing games. I know. I don't recommend it, but I got caught, and she gave me no mercy. She gave me straight detention, and you know what? I have not played a game in that class ever since.
Something just tells me like not to believe that. But
what do you mean? No, I actually have not played in my Bible class. I've not played games.
Oh, in your Bible class.
I know. Oh yeah, in her class because I know she'll get me for it, and I know she means business. So I also
do not play games in your classes. You're taking away from your.
I really like that anecdote.
And you're just not learning. Like you gotta learn.
Learning is a privilege. Okay, guys. Learning is not. People don't need to learn. Okay, you're privileged with the learn. It's not everyone gets to learn. I think I'd much rather be a well-rounded, educated young chap than some like uneducated man on the street.
Josh, just speaking words.
That's right.
Me? No, I would never.
Speaking facts.
I'm giving these young
So
people.
what would you rate that final change out of 10?
I think 10 out of 10 change. Good move.
You think they should do it for the midterms too?
I mean, I don't see why not. I don't see what the difference is.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Like there's really no difference at all. Like if you're doing good and good, might as well just let the kid slide.
Because what if some poor guy, he fails his midterm but he got an A in class? Then
Exactly.
it's not a proper reflection of how well he did in that class because just one chunk of a grade.
Like what if it's like dog guy? He didn't feel like studying. He was just depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's getting a bad grade.
Precisely.
Now you don't have that figure. You don't have to worry about that no more.
Or what if you have really bad testing conditions? There's a lot of people talking and you can't focus, and it's not your fault, and it shouldn't bring your grade down that much. But yeah. So now we talked about the changes. Can you are you excited for 2023?
2023. So 2022 is kind of lame. I miss 8th grade a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned.
It was just such a nice time.
A golden age.
Golden age, if you will. It's just fun, bro. 2023, I'm hoping to be better, Want to hit the gym more, be more focused in school. And just always have fun. Like, you always have to have a social life, obviously. Like, there's not, you can't do all the work.
Work-life balance.
Like, people say, like, oh, work, but like, no, dog, you gotta have a balance. You can't just always be working because you're gonna be burned out. And you're never gonna feel like work because you have no break. I just hope I'm able to, I feel like I just need more like self-control. Like, I need to balance my days out. I need like more like format to my life,
You need a more organized way of living.
Exactly.
I think that's a good idea.
Like, I don't really believe in like resolutions, like, 'cause, like no one really does those. But like I just want to change it, though,
Yeah, I think New Year's resolutions are kind
like,
of.
you should always be striving to change, not just on the New Year.
Yeah, like you should do things immediately. Like if you want to try going to gym, go the same.
Like if you have a little problem, don't be like, oh, I already messed up. Let's wait till next year. Like,
Good
like,
talk
sin,
show.
You're like, oh, I sinned already. I'm gonna just keep finishing the sin.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to stop it, like if you get shot, like you don't just say like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the bullet to just fall out and like bleed all the blood out.
Yeah,
that's a bad analogy.
you want to get patched up as soon as possible.
Exactly. So then there's not enough damage. The damage cannot be irreversible.
So then you have more time to heal.
Exactly.
More time to strive.
Yeah, I just want to be better this year.
Yeah, I think likewise for me. I'm looking forward to the new year. I think I'm gonna crush these grades. I think I'm gonna get straight A's this year.
Too.
I don't think anything can stop me.
More fun. I can't wait for summer though.
I've got a good attitude about this thing.
Yeah, I feel happy.
Gonna be great.
I feel happy.
I think everything's just gonna turn out all right.
Like what I'm hearing, boys.
But like, it's just crazy how like it's already been 5 months we've been in school.
5 months?
I think, right? September. That's 1. October, November, December, and then half of August, and it's already like January. So it's like that's basically 5 months.
That's not basically 5. That's like 4 months.
4.5.
4.5. You said January counted as a month, and it's like we've had 2 days of school.
Yeah, it's January 10th.
Oh, I guess since school started, yeah. Not like actual school.
No, but it's still been 5 months since the first.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane though. We started August 15th, right?
August 15th.
September, October, November, December, and then you have like, yeah.
Yeah, it was 5 months. That's crazy. If you could reflect back on the past year, what would you say?
What do you mean?
Like, what's something that you've learned from last year?
Learned?
Like, what's a lesson you've learned? Like something that year may have taught you, something that you could bring out of the year. Like, what can you take away from this year?
That Isaac.
A lot more forgiving. I feel.
Forgiving?
Yeah, I'm forgiving. People did me wrong this year, and I just got hurt to a point where I want to hurt them back, right? You probably know what I'm talking about. And that in the moment you'll be like, oh dang, I just send it back, like they deserved it, right? Like you're not one to play judge, like that's not for you to decide, like you have to mature off of that. You have to understand, like at the end of the day, like, that's not for you. That's for God.
Yeah, you leave the punishment.
And you have to be a lot more forgiving. Like people make mistakes, and there's definitely people in your lives who just want to bring you down. Like not everyone's like right for you. Like you need to pick apart your friends. You need to pick apart the good people around you. That's why I'm happy. I'm surrounded by good people who actually care for me. You just gotta be a lot more careful. I feel 2 things. Be very careful with who you trust. Be very careful with who you give your love to. Be very careful with who you allow into your life, because those that can like deeply affect you and like.
And this
really,
is
like it could put you down. Like
this is a coming of age episode right here.
Hurt them and they just got to a point where like they're, like almost like depressed at that point, dog. Like,
but revenge is never the answer.
Revenge is not the answer.
It never makes you feel better.
You just gotta be thinking like, wow,
like
I really did that.
You have to leave those things to the Lord. And
exactly.
Put those things up to Him, and that will be the best answer. Like that's the best way to do it. Like that will give you the most satisfaction, and He will make your heart whole again.
What about you?
I think one thing I can reflect is to be more what's it called?
Organized?
No, it's like
selfless.
No, it's like when you you do things even when you don't want to.
Sacrificial.
No, what's it? It's like self-control. Have more self-control. And I think I've learned that self-control is a really important
like
thing.
there's things that you don't want to do in life that you still gotta do anyways.
Yeah, like there's things like
life isn't always about like happiness and like having fun. Like
sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
You gotta get the job done.
Yeah, I think last year I had a lot of missing assignments. You know, I'd be too lazy. I just go to sleep early, knowing I had assignments, and I didn't really care. You know, and I think it doesn't matter whether I'm tired or not. I still gotta do it. I put myself in the position. I need to be more organized and more on top of my things, and just be able to do the things even when I don't want to, and do the things. And stop myself from doing the things I don't want to, but I might want to in the moment. You know, have more self-restraint in that manner. And I think that's just really helpful.
Life hack.
Yeah, really helpful in life when you have good, like you still do things even when you don't want to. Like it's a good lesson to learn.
Like not life.
Yeah.
You're always gonna be having fun. You're always gonna be enjoying what you're doing, but sometimes you gotta do it. Like it's just required in life. Like life's about learning. Life's about having fun.
Yeah. Sometimes
experiences.
You can't always just be looking for what will give you satisfaction in the moment, but you gotta think about long term how this is gonna affect you. And
exactly.
You
always
have to
learn from your experiences. Reflect on your past. 2022, no one's gonna be perfect. I made many mistakes. 2022, but I've learned from them. Like I've grown from them. I've realized what I've done wasn't right. And sometimes when people do you wrong, like there's just no reason for them doing you wrong. They just wanted to hurt you. Like that's just how it is, you know. But you gotta grow from that. Like you gotta understand. And God puts people in your life to care for you, and then people you gotta learn from. Like God's gonna challenge you. He's gonna challenge your faith. He's gonna challenge he's gonna try to grow you in faith and in your spirit. And at the end of the day, we're gonna be with him in eternity forever.
I think 2020 might just be my year for growth.
2023.
2023 is gonna be my year for growth.
Yeah,
and
years behind.
I still think, like that even number.
Yeah,
I think
that was 3 years ago. Quarantine was 3 years ago. That's crazy.
I think this is gonna really be my year for growth and to become a better person and to shape myself on who I am.
So we hope you enjoyed this little this episode, the first episode of the year. It's been a while. We'll catch you guys later, and adios.
Okay. Good episode. Kind of got deep. Next one is Inside Info. Another successful podcast series. It up. Okay, everything's good here. Good here.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony.
And I'm Alex.
And we're
Inside Information.
Today we're discussing the Poseidon Adventure made in 1972. Tell me about it, Alex.
As I said before, Tony, this was made on December 12th, 1972. It was directed by a guy named Ronald Neame. He actually didn't have any more prolific films after that.
So it was like his one-hit wonder.
It was his one-hit wonder per se. And it was made by 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
At a budget of $4.7 million.
4.7 at the time.
At the time. And then made $125 million at the same time. It was actually nominated for a lot of awards. And currently it's one of the most nominated awards movie films of all time.
That's awesome.
And it won a Golden Globe. It won 2 Oscars, a British Academy Award, if I remember correctly, motion picture, and it was also based off a novel by I think it's Paul Gallico.
Yeah, Paul Gallico.
In 1969.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and the movie set, you said in December, it's set right before New Year, so that was a good time for the movie to be released. Because sometimes movies set at a date, and it's not even close to the date it released, so that makes no sense to me.
I think it's with another one of those New Year films that was actually released in the summer.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was released in summer.
No, it was released in July.
No, it was December, you said it.
No, another film was released in July.
Which one?
For New Year's. I don't remember which one. I think it might have been.
It happens more often than the other.
So, Tony, now on to the questions about the film. What did you think about it?
The beginning of the film, it was, let's see, it started off calm in the nice old cruise ship. Everyone was having a good time, everyone was relaxing. There's the preacher, the other characters. It was very calm and relaxing.
Not sure what that noise is.
New Year's Eve dinner, which was a very nice scene to me. Some people would argue that it kind of dragged on a little bit. I think it was good for character development because, in my opinion, the characters were developed really well in this film, and it made them really likable, and it made their deaths even more sad later on in the film.
Yeah.
And the thing with the boat, its safety was probably not the best because it was an older boat, so
and they were telling them to go faster.
Yeah. They were 3 days behind schedule, so they had to full speed ahead, and that caused them to run into an earthquake that it's a 7.8 on the Richter scale, I believe, which ended up with their downfall, literally. And that's about the boat.
And did you think it was safe? Like before anything happened with the boat, before the underwater earthquake, did you think it was a good idea to be on the boat?
It's a boat. It floats. It's just old. That's it. That's the only thing I could think of. That's
and
probably.
If you were the Captain Harrison, you remember it?
Yeah,
If you were Captain Harrison, would you have followed Leonardo Cruz's orders to go full speed ahead?
Honestly, for the safety of my passengers, probably not. But he has people paying for it, like investors that he has to look out for, and so he obviously had to.
These guys do come up with good.
By a certain time, or else it just takes money, and that costs them
I think I feel like I always say this, but they really do come up with good talking points for each movie they review.
To happen. And so I don't think I would have listened, but I see why he did. And
what did you think about the Reverend Frank Scott?
Frank Scott, I thought he was a very nice guy. He was very strong in his beliefs, and he spoke very. He was very.
I don't remember
in my opinion.
if I saw you guys putting pictures for each of the chapters.
And what about Mike Enrogo? Mike Rogo, sorry. Mike Rogo and Lindo.
Yeah, he was a lieutenant, I believe, or some form of law enforcement.
Detective lieutenant.
Detective lieutenant, correct. And his wife was actually a prostitute who he arrested many times just to get her to marry him, which is very interesting, kind of sort of subplot. And I find that very interesting because he's a cop and she's technically a criminal, and they fell in love. So that was interesting to me. And the other characters, they were great too.
Yeah.
But the Reverend really carried the film for me, in my opinion.
Great.
And let's see, Robin, he was a smart kid. Rogo kept telling him to be quiet because he was a kid, but he ended up saving them more than once. Susan was great. Nani, she was always crying, complaining. It was very annoying, but it worked out. She lived, and that was cool too.
And Manny and Belle.
And Manny, he was good. Belle, not much to say personally. And do you think they would have evaded the hit had they not followed the instructions of the Narcos?
Maybe if they gone slower, they wouldn't have been in such a direct impact, with the wave caused by the underwater earthquake. But I still think there would have been some form of,
some form of impact.
Some form of impact. Maybe not as great, maybe not turning the boat over, but certainly I would say knocking down some communications or just doing something negative on the boat.
Yeah, of course. And do you think, what would you have done when, the wave hit and the boat's turning over and everyone already fell and stuff? What would you have done first thing?
First thing, I definitely would have tried to get to higher ground because not higher ground, technically
higher
going, higher in the boat. But I mean, I thought that it was. I think I already suspected that something bad was going to happen to the people if they stayed there, which some of them did, in fact.
Yes.
And so it's pretty normal to want to get to higher ground for a better chance of survival. So I would have tried to get higher ground.
Yes, and so you believe that going upwards was a good idea in the long run.
Yeah.
Because of course the rescuers found them, and if they wouldn't have found them, if they stayed at the bottom, they most likely would have drowned. And when the water began seeping in, like they already escaped the ballroom, they're already going through the kitchen and stuff. When the water began seeping in, what do you think of that? Like you thought it was kind of like scary or like?
No, I thought it was kind of expected. I was waiting for it to happen. I was waiting for the moment when the water would burst in and everybody would drown. And thinking that if you were in that scenario, would you have followed Robin?
Robin, yeah, because he seemed to know what he was talking about, and he was very knowledgeable about the ship, especially since he was reading like brochures about it earlier in the film.
Yeah.
So yes, I would have taken his words into consideration. And let's see, when they got stuck, they wanted to go to the engine room, and it was flooded, the passage anyway, and so then the Reverend had to dive in to attach the rope to the other side so the others could cross through. But then he got stuck, and then Belle had to dive in after him.
Yeah.
Do you think Belle should have done that? Or
I mean,
because that
Belle was
ultimately
a
led to her
swimmer.
death, and she was an overweight lady, and way beyond her prime years as a swimmer in
Yeah,
the
she used to
association.
be a swimmer, so I
Yeah.
guess you would have to like put a little bit of consideration into it, but not really because she was past her prime years, much past her prime years.
Yes.
So I would have expected something bad to happen to her. So I think it was good for her to dive in for the sake of the Reverend and everyone else, frankly. But I don't know if I would have suggested on her part for her advantage if she should have dived in, because obviously she did have a heart attack and died.
But she ended up saving the Reverend and thus the others. So I
Yeah.
think her sacrifice wasn't in vain. And also another thing I wanted to kind of get into. This movie is very New Year's based, and that's
Yeah.
very appropriate for this scenario and stuff. So with regarding New Year's, do you think like everyone would have been fine if they just stayed in their rooms? Like more survivors would have happened if there wasn't like a huge party in the ballroom.
I don't know about that because if they stayed in their rooms, I think it would have been.
Well, this is way more of like
difficult for
a
some of them to survive.
I believe more of them would have survived.
like a plot
'cause, like, everyone would have
analysis.
been in their rooms. I mean,
or
not much.
There wouldn't have been that much of a panic when it started flooding.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
plot,
So I
but
think more people would have ended up living. So
perspective.
that New Year's party really screwed them over. And yeah, that was sad. This movie is very impactful to me. And there's also an age gap relationship with Nani. And the other guy, I forgot his name. My apologies. And she's a very young. She looked like to me in her early 20s, and the other guy was in his early 50s. Do you think that's kind of weird that they did that in the film?
I think it's a bit weird, but not exactly too weird, knowing the characters and the whole thing. I mean, if you look at it from another perspective, from just seeing that, I mean, it's not a relationship when you see it in real life as well. But it's also just.
I
don't know,
believe it's kind of weird. I believe it's kind of weird, but it worked out in my opinion. And so it wasn't that weird. Like some movies do that, and it's weird. But that movie, the Poseidon Adventure, they did that good. And some people died. Rogo almost died when he fell into the bottom of I forgot what those things are called that let out the steam in the ship. What are those called? Those big cylinders. I think that's where he was, and he fell in and he almost died, but he managed to save himself. So that was good. But Linda, later on, the ship exploded and she fell into the fire when they almost got close to the door to escape, and he was very upset and he blamed the Reverend. Do you think she should have died, or do you think she should have lived?
I think she should have died, or else maybe the Reverend wouldn't have taken incentive. Because if you see later on in the film, they had to try to turn off one of the pipes. I think that's what they were.
Yeah. Yes.
And to try to get to the other
steam.
side.
Yeah.
And so what he did, he jumped onto and grabbed onto
Reverend.
onto
He
the
jumped on
wheel.
the wheel
I wanna say.
to turn off the steam.
He jumped out and grabbed the wheel and turned off the steam, and then he actually died because of that after a fall.
He fell into water, which was covered in, I assume, oil because it was on fire.
Yeah.
But which is kind of weird. When I watched it like a long time ago, I thought he shouldn't have died. He could have survived that. But then I thought like he was probably exhausted and he probably couldn't swim back up.
Yeah.
And it was probably the water's probably really hot too, so that
Yeah,
he
and
most
I
likely
mean,
ended up dying from that.
I think if Linda hadn't died there and if Brogo hadn't blamed, the
Reverend.
Reverend, then I think it would have been different there. Maybe the Reverend wouldn't have taken incentive and jumped. Maybe he would have just tried to save himself as well. I think he majorly took blame for that because he felt bad for it. And so I think really if Linda hadn't died, maybe the others wouldn't have survived.
Yeah. No, but I think he would have thought like more clearly, because when you're in anger, you don't think clearly. So I think he would have taken more time to try to figure out how to release the valve without taking his own life, which I think was kind of interesting. And he was kind of dissing God towards the end too. He's like, you take everyone's life, and now you can take me or something, which I found interesting because usually that's not something you want to do before you die. Diss God. So that was interesting in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think he should have died?
Nah. I wish he lived. Yeah.
I think it was a good death in my opinion.
Yeah, he had a good death, but I wish he lived. But somebody has to die, and he did die. And do you think this movie is underrated, at least nowadays? Because back then, I'm pretty sure it was
definitely not back then.
It was like Endgame back then, but
it was a huge film back then. But I think it's underrated now, considering the fact that not many people know it. Honestly, if you hadn't mentioned it before, I don't think I would have known this film existed.
There was a Poseidon adventure film called Poseidon in 2006. My parents actually watched it when they were when I was in the womb, and they had to leave the theater because my mom was sick. But I also watched that film too, and it was an interesting remake. I kind of liked it, but the first film's I think better. But the remake was a worthy remake, especially since some of them usually aren't. So I really appreciated that. And with this film, do you think it was a good quality for its time or even now?
Yeah. I mean, I think the acting and maybe the camera quality would have been better if it definitely would have been better if it was more modern. But I think for a film of that time and compared to some of the films now, I think it's definitely still standing there.
Yep.
Not as known, but still standing there.
Yeah, I thought it was great quality. You could tell it was on a good budget.
I
based
knew
on set
about the
pieces and,
remake.
the acting and stuff.
I
so
didn't
that
even
was
know
nice.
it was a remake.
And does it compare
But
to modern films, in your opinion?
when
Yeah,
they
I
were
think it does.
when they were
I mean,
asking me about
nowadays,
this
modern
one,
films are just
I was like,
going
"Oh,
down from
Poseidon."
completely.
Yes.
They're like, "No, Poseidon
So I'd say
Adventure."
it was a good, you know, I don't know what the word is.
A
Or
worthy movie
Poseidon's
from
Adventure.
back then to now.
Yeah.
It's essentially timeless, at least at this point in time, in my opinion. I think some people would
The
agree with me if they watched
Poseidon
it.
Adventure.
And what would you rate the film?
I would give it a 7.
A 7? I would give it an 8.5 because the acting, the choreography, it didn't have a lot of songs, but in the background you could hear some of the music by an orchestra, and I think it was great. And the set pieces were awesome as well. And yeah, it was just great all around. So do you have anything else to add, Alex?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you everyone for joining. And join us next week for the Prince of Egypt for Spirit Week, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Can't wait for that Prince of Egypt episode. One of my favorite movies. Okay. Going to the next one. Got a few more. Audio is way too quiet. No sound effects. No music. Okay. So look. So look. Again, there seems to be a consistent problem with these skit videos that the skit, like the parts with the actors, are way quieter, and then the sound effects are way louder. This is really good usage of the green screen, I have to say. It looks really good. What's unfortunate is that this is not the same kind of car that he's driving, but that's supposed to be the car that Mason is in. The other issue is that if you do videos with these kinds of jokes, I don't have it's more likely that I'm not going to be able to publish it. So I like that we're going for skit videos. I think it's a really underrepresented genre of video in FCS media, but I can't publish this stuff. So keep up the good work, keep pushing yourself. But if you want your stuff published, you're going to need to, do content that's that we can publish under our name. Okay, so you shouldn't put the question. Notice here that there's a bad audio mix. We'll hear that in a moment. What are your favorite Jordans? ? You should just put the name, the first and last name of each person. Put the credits at the end, and that's it. You don't put them at the beginning here. And to save time, you can just have the person, the host, ask the question that you're going to ask people in the video. What are your favorite Jordans? Rather than put it on text here. Or put it on screen here. But that's not so bad. Okay, too much headroom. Too much headroom. And the issue is that the music is much louder than the people talking. Listen. I can't even hear Ryan. And you should clip out the part. You should end the clip before Ryan starts standing up to leave. You can just cut it. And if they're answering what their favorite Jordan shoe is, when they say the shoe, you could have it on the screen. You could have it like in the corner or something. Put the name of the shoe that they say. Make it easier for the viewer to know what they're talking about and appreciate the shoe and be like, oh, I remember that. Oh yeah, I like that shoe too. Or, oh, I don't know what that shoe is. Let me see what it looks like. So it's better for that interactive experience as a viewer. $1 minute, 3 seconds. Honestly, not enough content for a whole week's worth of work. So I've made a rule that for all these interview videos, you need to have at least 8 interviews per video, because this isn't the only one that has way too few interviews. There are several other interview videos that just don't have enough people getting interviewed, and the videos just don't have enough meat to them. You know, they're really bare, they're really limited. So if you're working for a whole week, which is what I give you in class from Monday to the next Monday, you should be able to get 8 quality interviews. And right here, you're interviewing people in class, and that's fine. You should be able to get 8 quality interviews and make each of these videos each week have a lot of substance to them, a lot of content, and it makes the video last longer. It's a richer experience. I see that you fixed the framing in the next clips, so that's good. There was no outro there. This video too kind of struggles with the audio mix as well. 2 minutes. 2 minutes for a whole week's worth of content is not enough, guys. It should be longer than this. If it's just a talk show like this, or which is basically a video podcast, it's gotta be 10 to 20 minutes of you talking. You know, you can talk for longer than 2 minutes, and that's a week's worth of content.
It was an exciting game. You know, the end was great. Absolutely spectacular. Now we eliminated the New England Patriots from the playoffs. That's good. But first, Tua Tagovailoa.
So yeah, we're just gonna skip, because this one too needs to be edited and re-uploaded because it doesn't go all the way to the end. So folks, thank you for watching. That's all we had this time. We'll see you next week. God bless you. Goodbye.